Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I warmly welcome all the esteemed guests and our delegates who are gathered here with us today at UPSKILL 2021, where you're going to have a lot of fun, knowledge, goodies, and many more. IEEE Young Professionals is the ideal network for young graduates who want to elevate their professional image, interact with peers locally, and give back to their community. IEEE Young Professionals Sri Lanka, in collaboration with IEEE Sri Lanka section, introducing you IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals UPSKILL Sri Lanka 2021 to initiate professional development activities for young professionals and also to provide a platform for us to enhance our soft skills for a successful career. It is very interesting to know that research conducted by the Harvard University and the Stanford Research Center has concluded that 85% of job success comes from having well-developed soft skills and people skills, while only 15% of job success comes from technical skills and knowledge. It surely reflects the importance of enhancing our soft skills as young professionals. So today, the platform is ours to light a spark in your career life. UPSKILL 2021 is all set to embark on its first day with a series of entertainment-filled and value-added sessions. As there are both interactive and insightful sessions lined up for you today, buckle up to actively engage in the upcoming segments. Once again, I heartily invite you all and encourage everyone to stay with us throughout to gain knowledge and enjoy the session. Now, it's time to kick off the very first day of UPSKILL 2021. To open the remarks of UPSKILL 2021, we have a very special guest today. Without any further ado, may I now invite Mr. Dhammika Marasinghe, the Chair-elect of IEEE Young Professionals Sri Lanka, to welcome the gathering. Please help me in welcoming Mr. Dhammika Marasinghe. Over to you, Mr. Dhammika.
Good evening, everyone, and I hope you all are having a good time in this Friday evening. Once again, I would like to welcome you all for the UPSKILL 2021. And you might be hearing and seeing multiple logos and multiple things, and why even we are having Sri Lanka section. So to give a small glimpse to this, UPSKILL is a program that's initiated by IEEE Region 10 young professionals with the help of IEEE Region 10, that is Asia Pacific region. And to enhance these professional development activities with all these skillful engineers that we are having inside IEEE network, as well as all other university network. So it's not just us who are in Sri Lanka hosting this event this month. It's multiple other countries who are joining, like Malaysia, India. They are also hosting their own UPSKILL event. And what's unique for us is the way that we are deciding in terms of our theme selection and the amazing individuals that we have today. I hope you all will enjoy these talk sessions that we have, as well as a networking session that we are having in the mid break, because all these people that you are going to hear today are not just skilled in one profession, because they are really good at what they do at work, but they are excellent at speaking and they are engaged with multiple other areas. We'll start about like talking about how exactly you can spark your career with our own Hasith Liyanage, who is the current VP engineering in different technologies. And then we'll start from the serial entrepreneur Kanishka Viramund, who will tell us about how exactly we can cultivate this realistic style of thinking. He being a person who has started multiple startups and even engaging with the community a lot. The experience that he would share will be really valuable for. Then we also have the applying tactics to boost your career, done by Dr. Ranil Sugaddasa. Not only being a lecturer, also a motivational speaker, quite famous one, delivering multiple sessions for both government as well as private organizations in Sri Lanka. And as you all know, it's a Friday night. I mean, before Corona, we all used to go around to network and make more connection while having fun. So we didn't forget that while we are having this event on Friday. So we also have an amazing networking session coming up. So you can, while staying at home, you can have this fun, engaging activities while networking each other, get to know everyone, and build your network, upskill yourself. So without taking much time, I want to open the floor for all the speakers we have today. Don't forget that this is not the only day that we are having the upskill event, because Sunday also we are having the second day of this session with multiple activities, a workshop, as well as it's a quite important day for us at IEEE Young Professional Sri Lanka. You'll hear what that is on the Sunday itself. So having that curiosity in your thought, let's start the session today. And I welcome you all to enjoy the session, get the best out of these speakers that you have, ask the questions, don't keep them to yourself, and get upskilled. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dhammika, for the warm welcome and for addressing the audience with precious words as we begin with the first day of Upskill 2021. Let us now move on to the first segment of today's lineup. We invited a special guest today to talk about healing faulty leadership and to inspire young engineers to be proper leaders. He was the former Vice President of Engineering at Cisco Labs Sri Lanka. Being one of the most experienced personalities in the field of software engineering, with over 19 years of experience, he currently works as the Vice President of Different. He's also a well-experienced personality as a speaker and an instructor with his volunteering in Google Developers Groups, MIT Global Startup Labs, Sustainable Education Foundation, and many more. Let us welcome Mr. Hasita Liyanage on Spotlight with a virtual round of applause to break the negativity and spark your career. Over to you, Mr. Hasita.
Thanks, Pavani. Thanks, Dhammika. First of all, thanks, guys, for joining us today. And before we start, I want to apologize in advance for any background noise, any bandwidth issues we may have, even though I have some experience in speaking and doing lectures and sessions on Zoom. This is the first time actually I'm giving a speech using Zoom. All right. I hope everybody can hear me and see me. If not, just drop a message in the chat. Let's start. All right. So today, what I'm going to talk about, many of you might think this is going to be a talk about the power of positive thinking or positivity. It is not. This is not that kind of talk. In fact, what I'm going to tell you today is about the power of negativity, or rather, more accurately, the power of using negativity or facing your negativity and using it to your advantage. And the way I'm going to do that is by explaining how I got to where I am today. And this is a story that I have told so many times, but I think some of you may have already heard it. If so, just bear with me. I say this because it's very important to me. And I think it's important for young professionals to hear as well. My career, and now it spans about 20 years, was not in any way a series of positive events leading up nicely from software engineer all the way to where I am today. In fact, that's how it started out, the first 10 years. But in 2016, I faced the worst year of my life, as like what I can remember in my recent times. That, in my mind, was what set me in like a trajectory towards where I am today. But before that, the first 10 years of my life in my career was really nice. Like I was a graduate, first class graduate from University of Moratuwa, got selected to work at Millennium IT, gradually went from software engineer, senior software engineer, tech lead, senior tech lead, architect, 10 years without any issues. And I was very happy, made a lot of money. Then at some point I realized that the future is going to be in this web technology stack, then I need to learn it. And since I had some money saved as well, I went into the startup like company, spent a few years there. While working there, I taught myself the web technology stack. Things were going very well. But towards the end of 2015, it went all pear-shaped. The company started to run out of money. And at the same time, I also started to run out of money. My savings started to disappear. Then suddenly I realized I was without a job. I was without savings. I didn't have a land or a house. And I didn't even have the same skill set as my peers, because I had spent 10 years of my life working on this legacy technology stack like C++, Oracle, and Linux. I didn't even have the skill set. And in the meantime, many of my peers, like my batchmates, were in director type positions, making twice the money I was. And I looked at my life and I thought, what have I done with myself? And it was like the worst year of my life. Not only that, at the same time, there was a very serious medical condition in a family member, and I really felt bad because I didn't have the means to do everything that I wanted to do. So when that happened, my first instinct was to do what I always used to do when I was a kid, like ask myself, why me? Why did this happen to me? And just go into a depression and maybe spend like 6 months feeling depressed, sad for myself, and come out of it. But this time something different happened, which was that about a couple of years before that, I had read the biography of Richard Branson. I think many of you have heard of Richard Branson. He is the one who started the Virgin Group. You know, Virgin Records, Virgin Cola, Virgin Atlantic, now Virgin Galactic. That guy, multi-billion, right? So one of the experiences that he shared in his book is how he lost everything. Because when he started out first, his ambition was to just start a record label, a music company. And at an early stage of his life, he had actually built that record company and things were going well. All came crashes. And the tax department of the UK found out, and they took everything away from him. The inventory, the money, everything. In fact, not only did he lose his business, he just didn't come down to zero. He went into debt. He actually had to borrow money from his parents to pay for his debts. So he lost everything. And one might think he might also go into some sort of depression, forget about it, and just go find a job. But what happened in reality was that stress and anxiety and that thing that he went through really refocused his thinking, reorganized the way he thought about things. He really felt, I have to do something and I have to really get out of this and really focus my energy to pay off my debts. And then I have to rebuild my business. And he did that. But something strange happens once he built that business. What happened was he realized now he has a different set of skills. He can face adversity and he can really build business. He didn't stop at the record business. He went further. And I was convinced, thinking about that if he hadn't gone through that experience of losing everything, he would still be running that record business. He probably wouldn't have Virgin Atlantic Airline, the rocket business as that he's doing now, all these other businesses, the Virgin Group will not be there today. So I remembered that. And then I remembered another story, which was Steve Jobs. Many of you might be too young to remember that around late 1990s, Apple Computers was facing bankruptcy. It's not the company that it was today. It was facing bankruptcy, and Steve Jobs was managing that company so badly that his own board fired him from his own company. I mean, imagine how he must have felt. The entire this company, like his baby, the thing that he started building, not only was it going to go bankrupt, but his own board threw him out. And he could have also gone into a depression. If I thought, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, I'll just do something else. But I think that experience really focused his mind, and he had so many weaknesses as a leader, and he overcame them. And when he came back to Apple again later, I think the rest is history. Like, you know what happened. Apple went from being like a company that was about to go bankrupt into the world's first $1 trillion company. So I remember that as well. Then I remember a third thing, which I had read as a very young boy in a general knowledge book when I was about 10 years old. It was about a man named Robert Clive. He lived about 200-300 years ago. Very wealthy businessman who was that operated in Sri Lanka as well. And while he was in India, he made a lot of money. And later in his years, he went back to England, bought a mansion. He was very well respected. He was also fellow of the Royal Society. Like all these things he had. Everything he wanted, he had in life. But at some point, he started taking drugs. And he got addicted to drugs. And one day he committed suicide. And I was reading his life story in this general knowledge book. And I asked myself, what happened here? Because this is a man who had everything. He had money, he had fame, he had respect, and he had traveled the world. But something happened, and I put these three stories together, and I wondered, here are two people who went through so much adversity, and it sparked their careers. And there's this one person who had everything, and by virtue of having everything, he became depressed. So to cut a long story short, what I did was I promised myself that I will never ask the question, why me? Because there are so many people out there who have lost limbs, who have lost families, who are dying from cancer, or like who've been put in jail for things that they didn't do. Those people should be asking why me. So I told myself, I'm never going to ask myself why me. I'm going to treat every situation as it is what it is. What can I do about it? It's a problem. It's like a math problem. How do you face a math problem? Just solve it step by step. And the next thing I told myself was, I am never going to worry about the same thing more than twice without having new information. Now think of it this way. If you have a program, if you put an input into it, you'll get a response, right? If you run that same program again, and if you put in the same input, what are you going to get? The same response. So is there any point running it again and again? No. So when we worry about the same thing more than once, what we are really doing is scratching a brain itch. Our brain is telling us there's a problem, do something about it. And we think. And that if you think it more than twice, it becomes what we call, never ask myself, why me? Why did this happen to me? Never ask myself, never do this worrying thing more than twice unless I have new information about the situation. And the third thing I realized was this. So when I was looking for a new job, like I told you, I didn't have the right skill set because my skill set was in C++ and Oracle. I needed to learn these things. So one day I went and looked at a code base in Java. My knowledge of Java was about 10 years out of date at the time. So I looked at a code base of Java, and I got a cold sweat because so much code I couldn't understand. I thought, my goodness, how am I going to get another job? Then I told myself, look, you're looking at too big of a problem. Let me try to cut it down in half. So Java has front end and back end. So I think many of you may know software engineering to some extent to understand what I'm saying. If you guys are from any electrical or electronic background, please bear with me. So I thought myself, maybe I'll cut the problem in half. There's front end and back end. I'm not going to think about front end. Let's take back end. Back end is also too big. I thought maybe I'll look at just APIs. How do I build an API? Still too big. Cut that in half. Look at just one framework. So there's a framework out there called Spring Boot. Maybe I'll learn Spring Boot. So I opened up the Spring Boot documentation. Again, reams and reams of documentation. Scary. I thought, no, I'm not going to get depressed. I'll do one thing. Today, I'm going to read a simple tutorial on how to do a hello world in Spring Boot using Java. Tomorrow, I'm going to write the hello world. And the day after, I'm going to read a tutorial about accessing a database from this. The day after that, I'm going to actually write the code to access the database, and so on and so forth. So what I did was keep taking this big problem, slicing it down until it becomes less and less scary. Slice down, until it comes to one small task, which you can do in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And you do that. And once you do that, you feel a bit happier. Next day, you do a little bit. So even if you spend like 5 to 10 minutes a day solving a problem in small bits, in about 3 months, that's like 100 days of work. So that's how you should look at it. So I did that a little bit, taught myself all these other things, and I'm not going to tell you about what happened next, but as you know now, I'm in a, not to blow my own horn, but I'm in a good place. And just like Steve Jobs and Richard Branson, and I'm not comparing myself to them. If that thing that happened to me in 2016 hadn't happened, I would probably be still at Millennium IT, being a senior architect or somebody, being very happy doing what I'm doing. But I would not have really even scratched the surface of my potential. Yeah, so the story there is this. It's not really about positivity or negativity. If you try to have a positive attitude, when you are facing negative things, that's also bad. Now, these days, if you really think about it, it's very easy for somebody like me to tell everybody, hey, have a positive attitude. But imagine how hard it is if you're like trying to feed your family, can't pay your bills. If you're sick and you can't go to hospital. So those, when you have actual real problems, trying to think positive is not a good thing. And also trying to think negative is also not a good thing. What you need to do is face the negativity head on, but then tell yourself this is what it is. And I'm not gonna like feel bad about it. Treat it as a math problem and solve it. The part to this, which is that this negativity has a lot of energy. Imagine teaching a kid how to, or a child, how not to touch a flame, fire, that it burns, right? You can take a child, put him in a classroom, day after day, you can tell that child, here's fire, this is the temperature, this is like CO2 coming out, this is like flame, or thermodynamics, or whatever. You can teach all these things, but will that be ever as effective as letting that child touch the flame for 1 second and temporarily getting burnt and learning that lesson? Once you learn that lesson, you never do it. So there's a value in that. So whenever you have like a negative experience, treat it like a teacher. There's no better teacher than a negative experience. That's what I have learned. Every negative experience that I have gone through in my life, when I was going through it, it was very bad. I hated it. But when you look back at it about a year later, I always think, I'm so glad this happened to me because it helped me grow as a person. So yeah, I think that's my message. 3 things I'll summarize again. First thing, when you're going through something negative, never ask yourself, why me? Because everybody can ask themselves, why me? It's not just you, it's everybody. Second thing, don't go into this worry loop. Unless you have new information about the situation, don't think about the same thing again and again. And finally, don't look at this problem as a giant monolithic thing like a monster. Cut it down into small pieces. Keep cutting it down like a 1 year goal, cut it down into 1 month goals. Take the 1 month goal, cut it down into weekly goals. Take the weekly goals, daily goals into like 30-minute, 1 hour tasks you can perform. And as you perform these things day by day, you will start to feel better. And that's my story. And that's what I have to say about beating negativity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hasitha, for your wise words and in building the leadership and for inspiring the future leaders this evening in UPSKILL 2021. To value your time and effort put into making this event a great success, we would like to present you with this digital token of appreciation.
Thanks, Alan.
Mr. Hasitha, please accept our heartfelt appreciation.
Thank you guys. Thanks everyone.
Next in line is another insightful segment on cultivating a realistic style of thinking. To make the audience aware of changing the traditional career perspective of young engineers and encouraging them to think in a modern way, joined with us today is another renowned speaker. He is the founder CEO of Pay Media Private Limited, co-founder of Direct Pay Private Limited, and Park and Pay Private Limited. He's also the co-founder of Sri Lanka's first ever tech startup conference, Disrupt Asia. Being a community leader of Startup Week in Sri Lanka, he was the Seed Starts Colombo winner in 2018 and the Gold Award winner at Asia Pacific ICT Awards for FinTech. He's also awarded the Founder of the Year 2020 by the Computer Society of Sri Lanka for his contribution to tech startups in Sri Lanka. Let us welcome Mr. Kanishka Veeramunda on Spotlight with a virtual round of applause. Over to you, Mr. Kanishka.
Thank you, Paul. So, good evening to all the members as well as who have joined this session. I must first thank the organizers for having me today, and also very interested speech from Hasita. It touched a lot of things which I was also thinking to share with you. So my topic today is basically talking about the realistic style of thinking, right? So I'll start off with you guys. Now, most of you guys here are Gen Z, right? So you have some opportunities where my age or maybe Hasita's age did not go through, and also people who had been before us, let's say Gen X, has gone through. So those experience you don't carry, but you also carry quite a lot of intelligence and smart ways of doing things. Okay. So most of students who graduate or finish that undergraduate program, and when they get their first job, right, they have a lot of dreams that they want to fulfill. Right? Some demand for quite a salary. Some basically take a challenge. Very few people would wanted to go into an organization and learn, because the mindset is set that you want to earn much as possible. Right? It's a good thing, right? So I'm going to tell you some of the things that once you get this certificate, which is going to help you. Right? When you graduate and when you get that certificate, it can be a degree or it can be a special degree, right? What happens next? You will go to an interview with this certificate, and you will basically use it as a tool to get hired. Now, once you get hired, there can be two firings which can happen. One is you can get fired up, or you can get fired out. Right? Let's consider what occasions could you get fired up. First thing is, if you have your skills, competencies, and the knowledge to perform, you will definitely have a chance to get fired up. So fired up is basically you get permanent and you get promotions and you get a good salary. You have a good career. Right? Now, in today's context, most of the organizations also look at willingness to learn. And the other thing is, I would say the important thing is attitudes. So coming back to very realistic thinking, right, I would advise, once you get graduated, start somewhere you can learn a lot of things, because that will definitely help you one day to uplift your skills and get fired up. Right? So I come from quite a lot of startup background. I've done in my life, I think, almost about now 12 startups. 4 has miserably failed. I would say the first 4 startups has completely failed. And my 5th startup was quite successful. And my, I think, 8th startup was, well, I would say in my scale, it's not so successful, but on other scale, it is great successful, right? So one of the things that I've seen in that is when you join a startup or when you work in a startup, you may get a quite, I would say, considerable salary, but you have a lot of learning opportunities. When you go and join a big company, what happens is, I think Khalid also was trying to touch that, you become part of a big engine. You become a small wheel in a big engine. So you're in a process. You don't see the big picture, right? But you get looked after well, you get a good salary and everything. But the challenge is you start losing the fundamentals. So I think all of you guys might be familiar with the Bpo sector. Now, if you really look at Bpo sector, it's good money. Generally, Bpo sector pays above average. You go as an undergraduate, you finish your degree, you become a first class graduate or second upper, whatever the grade you get, you can join a Bpo. After 3 years, if you really come out of a Bpo, you could be considered as a first year. Because what happens is you lose the opportunity of using your knowledge and enhancing the knowledge, right? So first message that I want to tell is, once you get the certificate, right, always build skills, competencies, knowledge, right? That is the key things. And then the willingness to learn, right? You have to become a lifelong learner. Right? Some of the things I will share later on. And also have very positive attitudes. That is where actually people, companies would like to help somebody and groom them. Right. Then the second point is, a lot of people worry about getting a car, getting an iPhone 12, right? I'm just talking to you a scenario where you first graduate and get the first job. Those things do matter in life. But invest in continuous education. Invest on continuous education. The first time when you get a job, right? Think of what you can learn next. It is not necessary that you do your masters, but there are so many other things. You can do executive masters, you can do probably project management, you can do Scrum certification, but become a lifelong learner, because today the market conditions are different, education opportunities are different, so a lot of people are in the race. So once you get into the workforce, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you will have a knowledge gap with the young people who is going to come at that age. So if you become a lifelong learner, you have a better survival. Then the other thing what you need to keep in mind is, right, do something different than other people. Right? I've seen, like, now, once you do A-levels, most people, what they do is either they go and do CMA or CIM, right, or ACCA. Why? Because my friend is doing or my classmates has been doing. Right? Don't do things that everybody else does. Do something different that creates value for you. Right? Because in future, most of people will be looked at interviews not only based on their degree. Right? There was a period when I was doing my degree. If you have an IT degree, it was very valuable to get a job. Right? And IT industry was, I'm talking about 2000, probably you guys would have been born somewhere there. Right? In year 2000, if you have an IT degree, that's a quite good qualification. And same time, IT is a jargon where nobody else knows anything. You can hide and do wonders. But today, IT is not that. Right? So some of you might be doing engineering and other disciplines. But today, IT is common knowledge. Right? It's all about delivery. So do certain things which is not the common thing that will basically make you outstanding. Then, for some of you, right, I would advise to think of doing a startup. Right? But startup is not for everybody. I started my first startup at the age of 19, and today, I think it's a very unfair statement though. I'm telling you, startup is not for everybody. because I failed 4 startups. So I'm telling you that it's sometimes work for you, sometimes it doesn't work for you, right? It all depends on the stamina that you have, right? So some, yes, look for a job, go and work, do quite a lot of learning about that industry, right? It might not be directly applicable for you in the same industry, but you could get that experience and apply it somewhere else. If you're looking at a startup, right, because I sit in a lot of panels, and my experience, a lot of people come and talk about very common problems, right? Do not think of a startup idea if you can't monetize it. If you can't make money out of that idea, don't think of that idea, right? There are a lot of social organizations who will do a lot of social activities, right? But if you really want to do a startup, you should think 2 things. One is either to make profits as soon as possible, or either to scale it as soon as possible. Now, scaling in Sri Lanka is a question mark. We have a lot of challenges even though we have 21.5 million population, our technology scale-ups are not happening in a great way, right? So either you have to run fast and make profits, right? So that's my advice. If you think that you have a great idea, think whether this idea, how fast I can make money. Again, doing a startup would also give you a bit of a, I would say, opportunity to become a lifelong learner, because you go through an incubation program, or you go through an accelerator, or maybe a mentorship program. You will learn quite different skills which you won't get at universities. You won't meet the people whom you generally meet in academic channels in these ecosystems, right? That will add real value to you, right? So to share some of my thoughts, right? As I said, I've done around 10 startups, 10 or 12 startups almost now, right? The learnings that I have, I don't think even in a PhD I can learn, right? So much of learning, so much of different perspectives, right? You get opportunities to travel abroad, take that opportunity, definitely. That will give you a complete different perspective. Right? So with that, you need to have at least minimum of a 5-year solid plan with lifelong goals, but do not just stick on to the plan, right? Because plan is basically a guideline. It has to revolve based on the situation. Now, if you take 3 years back, right, if I was talking to you, I would have given you a fantastic picture. This is how you need to plan the future. Now, today, we can't talk about it. Right? We don't know when the country is going to open and when it is going to get locked down. Right? Situations are there. Situations are changing. Globally, situations are changing. Right? All travel restrictions has been imposed. Certain countries doesn't allow us. Right? So there are so many things. Right? But if you have an agile plan where it can basically adjust according to whatever the situation, then it will be great. So have the lifelong goals, but have a very flexible plan. Start thinking about small things. Right? Small things matters a lot. Reason is that is how you create your discipline in life. Right? I think most of here the audience is engineers. Right? Pay attention to detail. That is very important. And also, when you're finding a job, so I spoke about entrepreneurship, now I'm talking about finding a job. So when you want to find a job, as I earlier said, think of working for a startup, because that will give you a complete overview of all the departments to learn. And also, for some people, if that startup becomes a unicorn, you're lucky, because one day you can go and very proud to say that I was part of that, right? Now, I think you all know about Shamat, who was part of Facebook, right? So he basically, I mean, a good Sri Lankan example, right? He basically earned his money from there, and today, very proud to see that he's part of Facebook, right? There is another guy, I can't remember his name, who was who taught certain maths to Jeff of Amazon. So that's also something, a credibility which you can take out in the future. And also, you need to think that future is going to be completely different. Right? It is going to be technology driven. A lot of things is going to be automated. So learning capacities has to be increased. So therefore, you have to plan well on that. Finally, before I come into a different story, mindset is the game changer here. You need to have a positive mindset and can-do attitude. So those are the two things, right? Sometimes we might feel that something is not right, right? We have a disadvantage, right? There could be situations in work life, in professional career, right? But drive through them. Do not give up. So that's something which will make you face any situation in future. Have some aspirations in life, right? Think about whom you wanted to become as a role model, right? Then always think this age gap between, most of you might be around 23 to 28 or maximum 30. That is the age gap which you're going to invest for your future. If you make right investment right now, right, probably 30 plus, 40 plus, you're going to make a very happy life, right? Actually, if you really look at when you need to have that, I would say very comfortable living life is once you're around 35 plus, right? So this time, even if you do 3 jobs, or if you take 2 study programs and spend your time, it has certain worthiness. So this is not the time of basically having the entire luxuries of the world. Some of you, whoever who is lucky, might have the option, right? So if you really make a conscious process, success is assured. But most important thing is the conscious process. Right? So just to share a couple of things about my life, I started off at the age of 19 with my first startup, which was a successful venture. But you know, in Sri Lanka, we have a lot of parental pressure, right? The same thing you guys also will have if you can tell your parents that you want to do a startup. They will definitely come back to you and ask, all these 12 years and 4 years of spending we have done, not for you to become a mudalal. That's a Sri Lankan mentality. But slightly it is changing with some of the parents now. But that was one of the challenges that I had. So I had to give up on my first startup because of the pressure from home. Second startup, I failed. Third one failed. Fourth one failed, right? I took a break. I went to the corporate sector. I worked for almost about 4 years, right? But when you work for 4 years, you basically can't stay at the same place because you have that entrepreneurial spirit in you, right? So I quit and I started my startup. By that time, I was 34 years when I started, right? A lot of people told me it's a risk at the age of 34 to leave a corporate job. So I left Laughs Holdings as the group CIO. So I was one of the youngest CIOs in the country. At the age of 31, I became a group CIO. So when you leave a group CIO position and go back and start a startup, there are a lot of challenges. The people, if you look at all these big brands like Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, everybody when you're at the position of CIO, they always come and take you for dinners, lunches, all these luxury meetings, right? The moment you step out and do a startup, they don't even turn around and look at you. So one good lesson that I learned in my life is position actually gives you a lot of respect, but that respect is not there for you when you don't have that position. So that was one of the, I think, the fantastic lessons I learned, right? So I built my way up, did a couple of good things, right? So one of the things that I also wanted to share with you, at a government bank, there was a tender and we have applied, and that particular bank said no to a startup, right? I was so frustrated at that moment because on the technology side, we were the number one. So we had 2 Indian companies and we were the only Sri Lankan company. We were number one. We had everything that the bank wanted, but only thing is bank wanted a 3 years established 50 million turnover company, which we were not there. So next tender, right, another government, so we were rejected from the tender. And the next tender, the government entity put, right, I bid it for 0 price because I know that I'm not going to get it because of all these 3 years commitment and other things, right? So I bid for 0 price, and I was asked to come in front of a panel, and they asked me, "You have said 0 price." So I gave them one answer. I said, "You consider this because I got free education for 12 years. So you consider this is my payback for the government." I won the tender, and until today, the government organization is being supported by us. Right? So that actually created, I would say, a revolution within me, right? Not to give up, and always find the way to achieve something. Right? Then basically, I think it's a well-known information today. Went in front of central bank for many times in order to get QR-based applications to transact in Sri Lanka. I think I would have gone for about 15 meetings or 14 meetings. Right? They didn't understand what I was saying, and I didn't really figure out a way to outsmart them. And on the 15th time, they called me up and said, yeah, we will give you the license, go and operate. Right? So never giving up was one of the other things that I think I made up to today. So always there is a way, and the only challenge is how fast you can figure out it. Right? So if you really concentrate on your skills, competencies, and knowledge, and always have the habit of becoming a lifelong learner, and then spend on things what you need to spend. Right? We all love to become a luxury person or have to live a luxury life, but if you really consider live on the basics what you want, you can build a career. Right? And also, the last thing I wanted to tell you guys is, think that the future, which we all have not seen, is going to be completely a unique future. Right? We can't predict it. If you look at 10 years back, or if you take 20 years back, there was some assumption we could predict. Right? But the way that technology is changing, the future is really hard to predict. So only thing is knowing that you get ready, you ready yourself for that. So that will basically give you quite a lot of opportunity and the courage and the ambition to face. Right. So with that, I would like to wish all of you all the best. And if you want any career advice, or if you want any connections to startups or startup ecosystem, right, I'm in all social media. I'm in LinkedIn. I'm in Facebook. You can reach out to me and I'm happy to help you. And if you want any advice, I could advise you. Yeah. So with that, I would like to end my talk. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Kanishka, and the audience. If you have any questions, please feel free to direct them to Mr. Kanishka, and he will be happy to answer.
Yeah.
Yes, Hasini. I think no one has any questions for the moment then. So thank you so much, Mr. Kanishka, for your wise words in building the leadership and for inspiring the future leaders in this evening in UPSKILL 2021. So to value your time and effort put into making this event a great success, we would like to present you with this digital token of appreciation. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to have you here. So before moving on to the next segment, let us all join together to capture this moment of this wonderful evening. So I kindly request all of you to switch on your cameras to join us for a group picture.
Why give it on?
Yeah, sure. So guys, if it's possible, please feel free to turn on your cameras.
I gave you the permission, now you can turn on the camera.
Are we good to go, or shall we wait for another couple of seconds?
Let's go. Yeah.
All right.
From my account,
yeah.
From my account, you can set cheese. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, cheese. The next slide. Cheese. Okay, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. To spice things up a bit, next we have an interesting and interactive segment with the theme Leading the Way for the Battle Round. As the name itself gives off, this is your chance to interact with each other, improving your skills while taking home some amazing gifts. There will be 4 games called Puzzle, Up Close, Find the Hidden Phrase, and Creative Photo Contest. So the breakout rooms are now open, and please feel free to join the assigned breakout rooms as soon as possible. And also the organizing committee will guide you in the breakout rooms. I hope our delegates enjoy the games, and I thank you for your participation and enthusiasm you all showed. Next up is another informative session on applying tactics to boost your career. To help reinforce young engineers with proven tactics and practical tools to help them succeed in their professions in the area of soft skills, join with us today is another renowned speaker. He's a coach and advisor to the CEOs and corporate boards, mindset mastery, and motivational expert, and also contributing as a management and leadership trainer and transformational coach. He's also a senior lecturer at the engineering faculty of University of Moratuwa. Please welcome Dr. Ranil Sugadadasa on Spotlight with a virtual round of applause. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, IEEE participants. I'm great to, I'm feeling really happy to talk to you on career tactics. And in fact, actually in the morning, I had a funeral in my home. My father-in-law passed away at his age 92 suddenly. And in fact, I decided to be with you all. And that is what is called commitment, right? So commitment is very, very important thing when it comes to career success. Commitment is very important. If you agree for something, you have to commit for it and you have to get it done. And that's one of the very important part of career success. Having said that, I would like to actually interact with you with this chat box so that we can have a sort of a discussion while the session is going on. And just put in your chat box, what is your engineering field, whether it's electronic engineering, electrical engineering, computer engineering, or any other field. Please type in the chat box, what is your engineering field, right? So that I can get some idea about what your field is, my dear friends. Please use the chat box so that we can go ahead with lots of interactive sessions. Computing, software engineering, amazing software engineering, computer science, information technology, electrical, biosystems engineering. That's amazing. And mechatronics engineering and what else? Mechanical, electronics, amazing, my dear friends. And civil engineering and information technology, software engineering. And that's amazing to see. All these things are amazing to see. And my dear friends, I think you have made a wise decision to be an engineer. It's very, very lucrative profession and a profession to excel in your career, a basic foundation to, become a great, actually speaking. So congratulations to each one of you. And then please type in the chat box, I love being selected engineering. I love being selected engineering in the chat box, because first of all, you have to love being selected engineering as your career. So please type in the chat box, I love having selected engineering as my career, so that you started loving it, actually speaking. That's very, very important. So please type in the chat box, I love for choosing engineering as my career, because it's very important. You have to love whatever you do. When you start loving whatever you do, your giant will come out, my dear friends. And so you have to love whatever you do. I love choosing engineering as my career. Please type that in the chat box. That's amazing. And give yourself a hug and say, I love me. Give yourself a hug and say, I love me. Because you have to respect yourself, you have to love yourself. Self-love is the starting point of all the happiness and success, my dear friends. It's the starting point of all the happiness and success. So give yourself a hug and say, I love me. Give yourself a hug and say, I love me. Because when you start loving yourself, when you start loving your field, when you start loving engineering, I think that's the basic foundation to have a great career success. That's very important. If you agree with me 100%, please type, I agree with you 100%. Please type in the chat box, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. You have to love you have to love engineering, you have to love your field. And when you do that, my dear friends, the foundation of career success is built already. It's built already. You have to love yourself, you have to love your field, and you have to love engineering, my dear friends. That's amazing to see it. That's amazing to see it. So much of engagement that I love being with you on during this half an hour to share my experience with you. And in fact, I'm a civil engineer by profession. I'm a chartered civil engineer by profession. And I love being a civil engineer. I love being an engineer. I love being myself, my dear friends. That's amazing. That's amazing. Right? Hope you all are enjoying my session. If you're enjoying my session, please type in the chat box, I am enjoying your session. I am enjoying your session. Please type in the chat box, I am enjoying your session. Right? Amazing, my dear friends. So I hope you love to see my career. And my dear friends, my career is full of success as well as there are few very big failures. There are few very big failures. But there's nothing called failure. Failure is an opportunity to learn. Okay, I passed out as a civil engineer, and then I went to Singapore, just took a risk and went to Singapore to find a job, and I was lucky to find a job within 2 days. And I started working in a company called TOA, a Japanese company, for one of the biggest project in Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. That's one of the Street Commission project. I worked there for 3 months, and it was very well paid, very good Japanese management. And at the initial point, I loved the job, but step by step, I really feel like there's something missing. And in fact, I was working in the sea, and every day I had to travel to sea, and I had to jump from boat to the ship, because the ship is my location of work, and in a circumstance of wind is there, both the ship and the boat were shaking, and I was a bit afraid of that, and due to 2 reasons. One is I was feeling like I was missing something, and the second thing was that there was a risk of, like, jumping. Actually, there is no risk because I was wearing something safety, but I really felt like that way. I decided to quit from that job, and Japanese management was shocked, but I still resigned from the job and came back to Sri Lanka. And upon coming to Sri Lanka, I realized that there are no jobs. There were no jobs for engineers. There were no jobs for engineers. And I really felt I made a mistake in my career. I was without a job for roughly about 1.5 months. And I really felt I made a mistake. Most of my friends who are in Singapore phoned me and told, what a mistake you have done. Of course, I also felt the same way at that point. And then there were no jobs. And when I was reading Sunday Observer, I just found there was a job in it. And it was for an engineer with 20 plus years of experience, out of which 10 years must be senior management. You have to have BSc Engineering, MSc, MBA, and Chartered Engineer. And I just decided to apply. And I got the interview. I dreamed very big and applied that with 3 months of experience. I had 6 interviews, and the final interview was with the CEO of the company. And ultimately, I got selected for a senior management position. It's a senior management engineering position in a concrete cement company, one of the leading cement companies in the world. I got a job. So when it comes to your career success, there are 2 lessons that I have to share you. One is, you have to find the job that is fit into your heart. And when it comes to career success, you have to understand what exactly you love to do, what you are good at, and you have to create an opportunity, whether there is an opportunity for what you love to do and what you are good at. So it's like 3 roads. So this is one road. That is what you love. What you love to do in electrical engineering, what you love to do in computer engineering, what you love to do in civil engineering, what you love to do. And this path is what you are good at. What you are good at. And then you have to find something which combine what you love to do and what you are good at. And you have to have opportunity, something called opportunity. So if you can actually link what you love to do, what you are good at, with an opportunity, it's your ideal job. And if there's no such opportunity, my dear friends, you have to create an opportunity by being an entrepreneur. By being an entrepreneur. And that's what's called career success. So you have to understand what you love to do, what you are good at, and you have to mix that with the opportunity available in the marketplace. And if there is no such opportunity, you have to create that opportunity by becoming an entrepreneur. If you can understand what I have been talking about, please type understood 100%. Please type in the chat box understood 100%. Please type in the chat box understood 100%. You have to understand what you are good at, what you love to do, and you have to mix both these things with the opportunity in the marketplace. And if there is no such opportunity, you have to find a one, my dear friends. Amazing. I feel everyone is understanding what I have been talking about. And I got that job, my dear friends. It's actually market and product development manager, cum engineer. I developed a very durable cement called Holcim Extra Durable. And I was working as market development manager, product development manager, strategic manager. And nothing, I didn't know about the theory, but I had burning desire to become successful in my career. Burning desire. You have to have burning desire to be successful in your career. When you have burning desire to be successful in your career, you tend to learn all these things which is not known to you. I didn't know about marketing. I didn't know about market development. I didn't know about product development. I didn't know about cement much, but I learned all these things because I had the burning desire to be somehow to be successful in my career in that company, my dear friend. So burning desire is very important. You have to have burning desire to be successful in your career. That's very important. That's very important. So even it's said by Napoleon Hill in his famous book Think and Grow Rich. I mean, the foundation of career success is you have to have burning desire to be successful. That's very important. So my dear friends, I was doing great in that company, and in 2005, I became world's best project manager out of 100 plus Holcim companies, 100 plus Holcim companies. I became world's best project manager, right? I became world's best project manager, right? Out of 100 plus Holcim companies. I was one of the youngest senior manager working for that company. Then what happens? Even without knowing me, my pride escalated. My ego increased. At the same time, the jealousy of peers increased. At the same time, the management decided to send me for very high-end corporate training, executive training to bring me to the next level. So the jealousy of others escalated. My pride escalated. And ultimately, I had to say goodbye to that job. What is the learning out of this, my dear friends? What's the learning? Please type the learning. I was doing great. I was chosen to be as one of this very senior person at my very young age in a multinational company. I was doing great. I was learning new things. I was doing great. I'll be chosen as one of the best project manager. And I was doing great. And ultimately, I had to say goodbye to that company. What's the learning? What's the learning? What's the learning? Please type, my dear friends, when you are in the pinnacle of career success, you have to be extremely careful. You have to be very down to earth. Down to earth. And that's the quality of leadership. That's the quality of leadership. You have to be down to earth. You have to be humble. Thank you very much, Abdullah. You have to be humble. Being humble is very important secret of career success. You have to be humble. You have to be down to earth. More the success you have to become more and more humble. If you got the point, please type in the chat box, I got the point. Because when you become more and more humble, what happens? You get more and more support of the others, and you can be a leader. Got my point? It's very, very important. Very, very important. Then, my dear friends, I was without a job for roughly 1 year. I was asking myself, what is the purpose of my living? What is the purpose of my existence, right? And ultimately, I found the mission for my life, being happy and help others to be happy. Then I founded the Motivator, motivational training, leadership and coaching company to help others to be happy. And I applied my engineering there to the fullest. Because being an engineer, one of your greatest strengths is the ability to solve problems, solving problems. When you start doing mathematics in A-levels, you start by doing solving problems. So that should be one of your greatest strengths. So I applied that strength, analytical strength of being an engineer, having been trained to solve problems, to understand the motivation related matters in the people, in the teams, in the organization, to help them to be motivated, develop to the next levels, my dear friends. And I was able to become one of the most after-sales trainer and coach in the country. And in fact, I started coaching, corporate boards and CEOs and so forth. So I'm applying engineering, the analytical skills of engineering, the analytical skills of engineering, the problem solving skills of engineering to solve problems. And I was very successful. I have been very successful on that, actually speaking, even though I failed at a different point at my whole sim career. So failure is part of the success, and you have to learn out of that, and you have to further go ahead. And in fact, later I became senior lecturer of Moroto University, and I started exploring my engineering. I have found that project engineering and risk engineering is my engineering. When it comes to engineering, it's a very broad subject. Electrical engineering is very broad. Electronic engineering is very broad. Computer engineering is very broad. Civil engineering is very broad. You should be able to find a niche, very specific small area of engineering where you are going to specialize that. You are going to have a specialized knowledge in that specific segment, where you're going to have some extraordinary knowledge about that specific segment, where you're going to have extraordinary passion about that specific segment, and you can be an expert, my dear friends. So I chosen project engineering, project management, and risk engineering as my specialization, and became a consultant in that line. So when you become an engineer, you can choose to become an engineering expert and an engineering consultant, and that's one of your career line. For others, you can start as an engineer. In the middle, you can come to management, and then you can go up to senior manager and managing director and CEO. Jack Welch is a great example. He's considered to be the world's best CEO so happen, a chemical engineer by profession, right? So you can choose that path. On the other hand, you can do engineering and later you can become a scientist. Engineers solve day-to-day problems, whereas scientists solve theoretical problems, right? On the other hand, you can do engineering and then immediately turn your career into management, marketing, sales, HR, any other field, and specialize in that line. Great financial directors, marketing directors, sales directors. There are great such people which is having engineering origin, my dear friends. So it's up to you. So you have to find what you love, what you're good at, and you should be able to merge that with an opportunity. And if there is no opportunity, you have to create an opportunity by being an engineer. And my dear friends, in addition to that, when it comes to your career success, it's very, very important that you exceed that. You exceed the expectation of your boss. You exceed the expectation of your boss. You exceed the expectation of your boss. You should be able to exceed the expectation of your boss. And that is where you have to exceed the expectation when it comes to key performance indicators, KPIs given, as well as when it comes to values of the boss and the company. When it comes to my whole sim career, why I failed is because because I was not aligning my values with the values of the management. So there is a value conflict. So even though I was performing great, the management didn't like me because my set of values is not aligned to the values they had and they wanted me to have. So as a result of that, the conflict happened. So if you really want to perform in an organization, you have to exceed the expectation of your boss and the management by delivering more and more. And when it comes to your examination in the university, when you get 40 marks, you are pass. In the university, when you get 85 marks, you get A+. But when you start working, when you get 85 marks from your boss, you have failed. Because in order to pass in the corporate sector, when you start working for an organization, you have to get 100 out of 100. When you get 100 out of 100 from your boss, you are passed. When you get 85, you have failed. If you want A+, at least you have to achieve 200% of the KPIs, where you have to go some extra miles, my dear friends. So when it comes to success in the corporate life, you should be able to exceed the expectation of your boss, not only KPI, but also aligning your values with the values of them. Probably you have to change your values. That's where I failed at Holcim at the latter part. And in addition to that, you should be able to show your potential, my dear friends. One of my friends who is having PhD from Cambridge, electrical engineer, wanted to actually meet me and get some coaching from me. And he came with tears to me, showing the performance certificates for last 15 to 20 years. And he was claiming me that, Rani, look, I have BSc engineering, electrical engineering, PhD from Cambridge, chartered engineer. I joined this company as an engineer, and I'm still an engineer. And then what happens? I said, don't worry, you are in UK. Whether you are an engineer or bus driver or butcher or doctor, it doesn't matter as long as you get salary, enjoy it. Then she said, no, Machan, can you remember Samantha, our batchmate? I said, why not? Then he said, she's only having BSc engineering, and she joined our company 2 years back. And now she's my boss. And she's the director engineering. Usually in UK, if you really want to become director engineering, you have to be a male, right? That's a bit absurd. You have to be a male, and you have to be English, even not Irish. But Sri Lankas, we all are black, right? Black Samantha, she has reached director engineering level. And what's the secret? And when Samantha was in the batch, she used to ask questions. She used to, when she's doubt about something, she used to ask questions. She used to talk. She used to express her opinion. When the canteen food is not good, she used to go to the canteen manager and motivate him to correct the food, right? And when two kinds of boys are having a little clash, she comes to the middle and settle it. Similarly, when she joined this company 2 years back, what happens is that she used to talk. When she's invited, she used to go to the meeting and actively participate. And when she's not invited for a meeting, sometimes she volunteer to attend the meeting, excusing and start giving her ideas and opinions. When the company was struggling with business, she used to bring new projects, new things, and she has shown lots of passion about the company, going beyond just electrical engineering. What happened after that is she got promotion to the next level, and became director engineering. When it comes to my friend having PhD in electrical engineering, what happened was, when he's invited to a meeting, he tried his best not to go to the meeting. Even if he goes to meeting, he keeps silent. He operates the computer. When he's asked a question, he says, I will do the calculation and come back to you tomorrow. And by the time he comes back to the boss tomorrow, boss used to say that I have made the decision. And then he was so focused on what he's doing, nothing went extra. But when it comes to Samantha, what happened is that she has performed her duty, but going so many other extra miles to bring 200% results for the company. And as a result of that, the management was so keen of her, and she got promotion, the double promotion, and so forth. And as a result of that, There's a significant difference between my friend and Samantha, my dear friends. If you're inspired by this little story, please type inspired in the chat box, my dear friends. Please type inspired. Please type inspired. Amazing. So having qualification is important, but it's more important that you should be able to apply the communication. Unless you apply what you know, you don't know. Unless you apply what you know in engineering, you don't know. And you should be having passion to apply it. You should be having passion about the company that you are working for. You should be able to help. You should try your best to help your company in whatever the best that you can, so that only you can actually bring more value to the company. When you bring more value to the company, the management would love you. For example, if you earn 100,000, why you are paid 100,000 by a company? Because the management thinks that you can add at least 100,000 into 10. That is actually 1 million worth input to the company every month. That's why organization pay you 100,000. If you want 1 million per month, 1 million per month, you should be able to add value 1 million into 10 per month. That is 10 million per month. If you can add value 10 million per month, the company management will give you 1 million per month, my dear friend. So when it comes to your salary, the income, it's directly proportionate to the value you add. More the value you add, the better the perks and salaries that you can earn, my dear friends. So how can you add value? You must have profitable skills. Profitable skills. The skills that the others do not have. The skills that help solving problems at hand. The skills which will bring profit to the organization. The skills which will satisfy the customers. And you have to create these profitable skills if you really want more salaries, more benefits, etc. So that's very, very important, my dear friends. Profitable skills. You have to have profitable skills. And in fact, as engineers, usually our left brain is working. That is this analytical left brain. But when it comes to the practice, it's not just the left brain. You should be able to use your creative right brain, my dear friends. And you should be able to use your intuition. That's your head brain is consisting of analytical left brain that we are trained for, and creative right brain that you have to explore yourself, my dear friends. And you have to actually use your intuition here, the middle brain. And according to this book written by multiple brains, written by 2 computer engineers about neuroscience, says you have 3 brains: the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. And when it comes to your practice, in the university, you are only trained to use your left side of your brain. But when it comes to your practice and the profession and the career, you have to use your right side of your brain and the intuition, that's your head brain. And you should be able to use your heart brain, my dear friends, because your heart brain can help you to understand the problems in the society. Your heart brain can help you to understand the people. Then you can become a leader, my dear friends. Then you should be able to show your potential, my dear friends. So if you really want to have a great career, you should be able to show your potential to your top management, like what Samantha did in the case of the story that I explained. And in addition, your stomach is having a brain called gut brain that shows the confidence. So you must have the confidence. How to get the confidence? To get the confidence, you have to act. When you act, you might fail. But even when you fail, you should be able to learn the lesson out of that, and you should be able to act correctly the next time. And then only you can develop your gut brain inside your stomach. Got my point? So when it comes to engineering, you have to have lots of gut brain to act. You have to have lots of heart brain to understand the problems in the company, understand the problems in the society. When you have very big heart brain, you should be able to understand the problems in the society, and you should be able to create a mechanism to solve problems, and thereby you will become an entrepreneur. That's the best profession for any engineer, whether it's civil or computer to electronics, my dear friends. So when it comes to engineer, when it comes to your career success, it's very, very important that you use all the 3 brains, the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. And it's very important you apply all these 3 brains together to solve problem and help the organization to exceed the expectation of your bosses. So in summary, if you want to have the career success, have the burning desire to have a successful career, have the burning desire not only to acquire knowledge, but also to apply them in the real life context. That's again very important. Thirdly, you have to find what you love, what you are good at, having self-reflection, and then you should be able to merge these two things with an opportunity available to ensure that you perform to the best. That's the third point. And going beyond that, you should be able to exceed the expectation of the bosses and the management, not only the KPIs, but also the values. And then when it comes to KPIs, when you get 100 out of 100 marks, you just pass. And if you get 90 out of 100 marks, you are fail, my dear friends, in the corporate sector. So you have to have minimum 100 out of 100. And you should be able to show your potential by going extra miles and showing that you are really keen on the company by bringing new business, bringing new customers, and bringing new systems, cost-cutting strategies, and so forth. It's very important. And the final point is, actually speaking, you should be able to use your head brain, heart brain, and the gut brain together to ensure that you excel yourself. So this is my experience. And again, it's very important to be having the commitment, and being humble is very important, especially when you're at the peak. And career is not a straight line. It is usually having ups and downs, and you have to learn from each ups and downs, and you have to excel your career, actually speaking. I can demonstrate that in a small thing like this. So when it comes to career, there is no straight line like this. There is nothing like that. But you have ups, you have downs. You learn again, there is up, you down, ups, downs. Then there can be more ups and downs, more ups and downs, and more ups and ups. So that is the practical career. So my dear friends, start loving yourself, start loving your field, and start loving, apply what you know. Have the faith and passion to do great things in the society, because engineering is the world's #1 profession. It's the world's #1 profession, not accounting, not medical doctors, not lawyers, because engineers can create something new for the mankind and the planet Earth. And keep that in your mind. Dream very big and act promptly and become a great engineer, and then choose your career accordingly. I hope you enjoyed my session. If you enjoyed my session, please type in the chat box 100% enjoyed. Please type in the chat box 100% enjoyed. Right? Please type in the chat box 100% enjoyed. Amazing. 200%, 200%, 100%. That's amazing. And I know that you can apply what I said, and remember my stories, and try to become one of them. And even if you fail, don't worry. Learn out of that and enjoy your career, my dear friends. I know that each one of you can become a successful engineer. And some of you will become expert scientists, CEOs, managing directors, entrepreneurs, billionaires, politicians, and so forth. I wish you that for that. And you can actually connect me in my Facebook public figure, Ranil Sugadasa. And then you can actually watch my YouTube, Ranil Sugadasa. And you can watch the YouTube of my elder son, just 10 years. Amazing you met. And he teaches about how to dream very big. He's just 10 years. He teaches how to dream very big. So you can actually watch that to inspire yourself, and just watch my YouTubes, and just keep in touch. And my mobile number is 077 224 038, my dear friends, right? 077 224 038. Thank you very much for all the comments. And I hope my time is done. And so I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you very much, my dear friends. And I wish you, each one of you, all the very best. And I'm really tired having 2 sleepless nights. And still I try to do my best with my fullest energy, even though I'm really, really sleepy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ranil. And on behalf of all of us present here, I would like to express my deepest sympathies to you, sir. And as you said, I think commitment is key. And you set the best example for it this evening by gracing us with your presence, even in a time of difficulty. So to value your time and effort put into making this event a great success, we would like to present you with this digital token of appreciation.
Thank you very
Please
much.
accept our wholehearted gratitude. That takes us to the end of this evening's proceedings. Last but not least, the invitation goes out to Chamod Ishwarge, representing the organizing committee, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, Chamod.
Thank you, Pavani. Good evening, everyone. It is such an honor for me to have this opportunity to thank you all. On behalf of the IEEE Young Professional Upskill Sri Lanka 2021 Organizing Committee, I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed guests and delegates of the event for their presence and contribution to make this event a great success. I extend my gratitude to our guest speakers, Dr. Ranil Sugatadasa, Mr. Hasita Liyanage, and Mr. Kanishka Veeramunda to take out the time from their busy schedule to grace this event. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your words. A special thank to the Executive Committee of IEEE YP Sri Lanka section for all the guidance that gave you to organize this event even amidst the pandemic. I must thank the organizing team and all the volunteers for working hard for the past few months to make this event a great success. But this is not the end. Hope to see you all on the 26th. Until then, stay safe. Thank you. Over to you, Pavani.
Thank you, Chamod. Now that we have arrived at the end of this wonderful evening, and it's time to wrap things up for today. Day 1 of Upskill 2021 was an exciting and insightful event for all of us. Wait for a fantastic Day 2, as there will be some more insightful and engaging, fun-filled activities lined up for you. Along with that, we will be announcing the winners of today's gaming session. So make sure you join us on 26th Sunday to find out the winners and to get your hands on the prizes. That being said, I conclude the proceedings for today with a warm invitation to join us on 26th of September at 6 p.m. I would like to thank each and every one of you for your active participation and bringing your energy with us till the end of this event. Wishing you all the very best. Hope to see you all on Sunday. Take care and stay safe. Good night.